Hans Niemann has been away from the chess circuit for a little bit, but now he's back and he has been playing in a couple of strong tournaments, open tournaments. Invitational tournaments are very few where he is invited, so he's playing in the open. He played in the Menorca Open in Spain from April 11 to 16 and did incredibly well. He was tied for first, along with a lot of others, 10 others, with 7 points out of 9. And he enrolled or registered for the Kazakhstan Cup in the last 48 hours before the tournament started. And he's playing there right now. Three rounds are over, and he's on 2.5 out of 3. One of the most interesting moments of the tournament, Menorca Open, for Hans Niemann, was this game with Pranav V, a young Indian star who's 2545. Hans is right now 2706, and this endgame was a long struggle, and it's a very interesting position that they have reached after moves 53. So White has a bishop and Pranav has a knight. So Hans has a bishop, and the central pawns for Hans, and he's down a pawn. Pranav has two outside pass pawns on the king side. So whose position is better? The computer tells 000. But if you were to play, which side would you prefer? Definitely white, right? Because the black king is a bit less safe and the white pawns could run forward. But then what happened was Pranav played incredibly well. King g7 was played, pawn e5. Hans pushes a pawn, natural. Queen g5, king h2. Now knight came in, knight e3. That was the idea of queen g5. Bishop h3, and then knight went to d5. So Hans is also under time pressure now. 1.5 minutes. Here he played a waiting move, bishop back. So what he should have done was just queen f3, a slightly more useful move, but he was probably afraid of queen d2. But then bishop g2 was there, so there was no problem. So it's still uncomfortable for this knight to be around the king. So the white player would definitely be a little uncomfortable here because of this knight. And that is the reason why Hans got into trouble. He played bishop g2 and now knight f4, and this is a very strong knight. The queen can't leave the bishop alone because of mate. So he plays bishop f1, pawn b4, queen f3, and pawn h5. So along with the h pawn, it's gonna be a nice force to deal with, a strong force to deal with. Bishop c4, and slashes out with the bishop, trying to get the pawn running again. Pranav plays king h6, bishop b3, queen check, king moves, queen check, king moves, and now he zigzags to the b2 square. He doesn't even take the d4 pawn. He just plays after queen d1 just queen c3 because our d pawn is not going anywhere. If you push it, the e pawn falls. And now there's a threat of queen h3 and queen g2 mate. So here Hans is in trouble and he plays queen c2. He's completely lost. There was no way to save it. So once he allowed, if you go a few moves back, the critical mistake was bishop b3. The bishop was needed for the defense. h3 square had to be defended with the bishop. That was where he went wrong. And now let's see how he converted. After queen c3, Pranav, Hans played queen c2 and Pranav played queen takes pawn. Hans played e6, but then queen check, king moves, knight takes. A very nice tactic because there's a fork when the bishop takes back, and it's a winning queen endgame. Knight g5, and now queen d6, and then comes check, check. The queen kind of zigzags back, and then knight h7, kicking the queen, and then queen g5, king h1, and here queen e5, getting the knight back. Queen check, and here once the king goes back, the light squares are in control, and the knight would jump in, and Hans had enough, and he lost. So this was the only loss for Hans in the whole tournament, only to Pranav. The other two draws were against Vignesh, another player from India, and Kaustav Chatterjee, another player from India. All the other games were wins. He did not face a 2700 plus player. The playing field was maybe not that strong. And in the last round, he drew against 2520, an IM, because a draw was enough to secure the tie. It was a good decision. But if he went for the win, he could have been solo first. Now he's also playing right now in the Kazakhstan Cup, which happens in Astana, Kazakhstan, April 23 to 30. Coincidentally, that is also where the World Championship is happening. Astana, Kazakhstan. It's a 9 round tournament. And so far, Hans has been doing fine. He had two wins against a 1-7-1-3 and a 2-2-6-8, and a draw against a 2-4-4-8. So we can expect Hans Niemann to play more tournaments, more open tournaments, and prove that he is 2,700 plus material. And parallelly, the lawsuit has also been continued, and the lawyers are full fledged into it from both sides, from all parties involved.